Hi, and welcome to another Illuminations with Tiina and Fi. I'm Tiina.
And I'm Fi. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Fi?
Very well today. Thank you, Tiina.
Brilliant. Here in Sweden, it's beautiful, wonderful summer weather. Finally, we've had it for a week. What's it like in England?
We've had beautiful weather. I'm in Brighton and it's slightly cloudy, but still quite warm. And we've got a lovely bit of a breeze, which I'm embracing. But yeah, we've had superb weather. Beautiful sunny days. Sat on the beach last night with a friend and a glass of wine, which was delightful.
Oh, lovely. I thought that was a nice way to have an introduction for our new series. We're going to be talking about introverts, extroverts, ambiverts, and we're both introverts, and chit chat might not be the introverts' strongest suit. I thought we'll start with a kind of chit chat there. Over to you. What do you want to start with this subject, Fi?
Right. Well, I had a look around. This brought me back to time when I did my psychology degree hundreds of years ago, it seems.
Surely not. Surely not hundreds.
And what I thought I'd do is just start with Myers-Briggs, and I know you'll talk more about this, Tiina, because you are trained in Myers-Briggs. So they use this as a way of measuring, personality and energy, and you can clarify that with me. It comes from Jung. There is a belief that in Western world we've slightly, kind of translated it in another way. That's not how Jung actually presented it. And it's interesting because we will probably talk about this another time, but it's more of some people call it a trait, and they look at it as a continuum of introversion, extroversion, and there's a continuum. And Myers-Briggs, obviously, they talk about it being more of a preference. So you have both, but there's one that's stronger, more of a preference within you. And you can explain this more, Tiina, when we get there. It's different attitudes people use to direct their energy. So actually, why not now? Why don't you explain what that's meant by that?
What, with the energy? Okay. Yeah, so in Myers-Briggs terms, introversion and extroversion is very much about where do you get your energy from? Extroverts get their energy from being around people. So they can go to work a whole day and then go to a conference, and after the conference they still want to go out for drinks because they're energized from other people and the conversations and the noise and the hustle and bustle. Whereas introverts are energized by being on their own to kind of reflect inwards. So after a whole day at work and then maybe a conference, the thing introverts want to do is go home, not because they're antisocial, but because their energy is depleted. They just need to fill their battery, really. But in Myers-Briggs terms as well, extroverts need to think. In order to think, they need to talk. They need to talk it out. And introverts need to just be silent and kind of reflect on things first. So in a meeting scenario, if you're talking about a subject that's quite new, the extroverts will be the first ones to go, yeah, this is what I think, and this is what I think, da, da, da. The introverts might be quite quiet because they need to kind of go, oh, I haven't thought about that yet. I don't know what I think yet. And as I said, I'm an introvert, and I've had a situation with the CEO of the company said to me in a meeting, Tiina, what do you think? And I actually had to say, you know what? I don't know what I think yet. So I just haven't mulled it over. And luckily I was in a company that knew about the introversion and extroversion kind of stuff. So they were like, okay, well, that's fine. Get back to us, Whereas in a different scenario, different environment might have gone, what do you mean you don't know? You should know by now, So those are a few of the differences between introverts and extroverts.
Brilliant. And I thought I'd just kind of, so people kind of get the idea, is to add to yours. I went on the Myers-Briggs site and they said, I like getting my energy from active involvement in events and have a lot of different activities. I like moving into action and making things happen. And I generally feel at home in the world. And I often understand a problem when I can talk it out loud. And, they there's some lovely sentences here. I feel comfortable in groups. I have a wide range of friends. I sometimes jump too quickly into an activity. I start to see now friends fitting into some of these. And then introversion is I like getting my energy dealing with the ideas, pictures and memories and reactions that are inside my head and my inner world. I prefer doing things alone or with one or two people whom I feel comfortable with. I like to take time to reflect. And then I feel comfortable being alone. I prefer to just know a few people. I sometimes forget to check the outside world, you know. That's the kind of definition that they come up with. And what's really interesting when I carried on doing a bit more reading about it is they actually have some really fascinating research around that. Here you go. Researchers have found a correlation between extroversion and self-reported happiness. That is, more extroverted people tend to report higher level of happiness than introverts. This does not mean that introverts are unhappy. Extroverts simply report experiencing more positive emotions, whereas introverts tend to be closer to neutral. This may be due to the fact that extroversion is socially preferable in the wider contemporary Western culture, and introverts therefore feel less desirable. So I found that really interesting. When I hang out on my Pinterest, you know, group, my community, that's where I really started to learn a lot about introverts and extroverts. And I prefer the term preference because you know what I'm like about labels. I do think preference, you know.
Me too, absolutely.
And actually, I can start to see now. There's a lot of stuff on Pinterest about not feeling okay, and a lot of writing around the qualities and what introversion preference brings to community. And I can start to see that, you know, that acceptance, more gregariety in Western culture.
I think, Susan Cain wrote the book Quiet, and had a TED talk as well about that, and it really kind of did a lot of research into just that, how we live in a very, very extroverted world in the Western world, and especially America probably, but in England and Sweden as well to a certain extent, and that, you know, we say that the extroverted preferences or traits, whatever we want to call it, they get the thumbs up. Whereas the introverts are seen as a little bit more odd, maybe. And I think there's been in the last 5 to 10 years, there's been the kind of almost revolution for the introverts. Like it's there's good stuff here as well. And I think that's the really important thing, is that there's both are good, both are brilliant. You know, both of them have got so many good things about them, and then certain things that might look at and, you know, kind of think of, okay, so how do I function with this one? And I think it's important to lift both of those up in workplaces or social gatherings or families or whatever. And it's that kind of understanding, oh, okay, you're an extrovert. Oh, that's why you come to my desk and just talk and talk and talk. And then you go, oh, thanks so much, I know my answer now. And then you walk away and I'm like, well, I didn't even say anything. You're an extrovert, so you just need to hear it out loud, you know. Okay. And, you know, as I said in a meeting, okay, so the introverts might not contribute at this time because they need to go away and think about it. So maybe we can lift this in the next meeting again. So the introverts get a chance to say what they've been thinking about. So it's finding that balance and that understanding of each other, I think, is really important. Yeah. Did I go off on a tangent there? I don't know. Anyway.
No, that's bang on. You know, I think you're right. Susan Cain's book, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, was recommended. And, you know, it kind of helped me understand that, you know, this reminds me of NLP, obviously, because in NLP, we have people who are internal reflectors and external reflectors.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to run meetings, and one of my team members, she wasn't a team member actually, she was a member of our community. I used to just get like, what are you doing? And she was an external reflector and obviously more extroversion preference. And we just talked through everything that we've just agreed or talked about. And gradually I began to understand that, and that really helped. But now I understand it even more, you know. So, I remember sometimes when I would go a bit quiet, one friend, said, "Have you gone passive aggressive on me?" Which was really hard. It's like, no, I just need some time to just think, and reflect. And I know we're going to look more at introversion next time, so I'm staying away from it because there's obviously other elements to it. Now, what of course has come out is we now have the idea of an ambivert.
Yes, you need to tell me about that, because I don't know much about that. Yeah.
Well, I think this explains a lot about me, because a lot of people, the other thing we must say quickly is that introversion is not about shyness, and that is so true. Not about shyness. And I kept, at my last work, I would often be presenting to hundreds of people, and I'd get up there on the stage, get on with it. I'd be nervous.
Oh, Fi, your camera just froze. Let's see what we can do about this. Technology, you're back. Welcome back. Anyway, you were presenting to hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people. And but yet would find, the going and having wine and nibbles or coffee and networking with people quite overwhelming and choosing that language. And my colleagues just wouldn't understand it. They'd go, we don't get it. Now, the ambivert. So the ambivert, they say, is in the middle. It's a bit of a mixture of two. So your friends have a hard time classifying you as an introvert or an extrovert. So you can't mix between the two. Your energy isn't drained when you're alone, nor do you feel exhausted after lots of socializing, or maybe you tend to be drained by both equally. Okay. You're satisfied with your weekend plans. So whatever happens, you're happy with, whether you go out or whether you stay in. During conversation, you know when to keep quiet and when to talk, and you do them both relatively easily. Okay. Emotionally stable during a concert, a yoga session, and everything in between. So fairly resourceful state around most situations. You don't relate completely with posts about introverts and extroverts. So you read some of it and go, oh yeah, but You can't empathise with people who are not able to sit through loud social gatherings or uncomfortable with time spent alone. And you meet more people who are like you. You are shy or stable and hence mistaken about your introvert or extrovert status. That's an interesting one. So there you go. So there is, that kind of combination of two. A lot I don't resonate with, but I think if it's a preference, I'm sure I've done Myers-Briggs and I can't remember what I was, but I think, the introversion is definitely higher, but I do get some of that. It's the people around me, but maybe that's because they mistook the shyness. They mistook my introversion for being shy, which they didn't get.
Yeah. I think in Myers-Briggs terms, it's also, that because it is a preference, so it's your preferred way of being is one. It doesn't mean that you can't kind of be in extroverted situations, or you can't be social, or you can't stand on stage or anything like that if you're an introvert. It's just that, that the kind of, it drains you energy-wise. You need to go and then kind of batteries again. One of those things that, but introverts, they just want to be on their own and they just want to read a book, and they're shy, that kind of thing, and a bit of a hermit, and it's not like that really. So of course an introvert can be all those things, It's not the kind of what it's all about. But yeah, ambivert, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm aware of time, and I think we're coming to the end of this session. We'll continue talking a bit more about introversion next time, which will be super interesting. So question for this time, could something like, what could you gain from knowing your own preference in terms of extroversion, introversion, or ambivert? What's the gain? Do you think something like that could be a good question?
I think there's do people know what preference they are? That's a good one, little one. But I think that's lovely to know. Yeah, what the gain? There's been definite gains you and I have both had from understanding that.
Yeah.
Helps me to explain to people more. So I think that's lovely. I do think it's worth just pointing out that if you go on and search, there are loads of, questionnaires, statements that you can work through to find out what you are. I know Briggs does it, but I've done lots of other ones as well to experiment and see. So go online, Loner Wolf, they do one, which is a nice one, for example. So so find out what you are, and then I love it. What gain do you get from knowing what preference you have?
Good, fantastic. Lovely talking to you as always, Fi, and I will see you next time.
Next time, Tiina. Bye now.
Bye.